What's going on, guys? I'm YST and we're back playing some Dragonheir Silent Gods so we could take a first look at the Imperial Shadow Recast event that's live at the moment, where we can get our hands on a free legendary in Utior, who we're going to be checking out his skills a little bit later on, and also all of the free goodies that you see as I slide along here. But I do want to give a massive thank you to Dragonheir for sponsoring today's video, / Dragonstride Legacy Reborn for players in the US, or if you just have the US English language setting on your device, it is possible to see it outside of the US as well with the name Dragonstride. And I will of course leave all the links in the description below to download the game and get involved for yourselves. So cool, let's just have a quick look at what the event has to offer. I've actually not playtested any of the modes yet because I've been away on holiday, but no excuses, we gotta get straight back into it. So with the event rules, when the event starts, you can participate in Imperial Shadow Recast challenges to earn Shadow Amethysts. So accumulate these amethysts to unlock various rewards and obtain the legendary hero, Utior. So we've got Shadow Dungeons and also the Continental Challenge, where with the first one during the event, you can challenge different dungeons to complete quests to earn the amethysts. Okay. So I'm assuming with these amethysts, that's how we're going to accumulate all of these rewards through our playtime here. And then, Shadow Challenges grant extra materials, and please refer to the event page, which we'll check out to see how that works. And also the Shadow Dungeons consist of 3 rounds, each lasting for 7 days. In terms of the Continental one, so during the event we can find various bosses in Adenthia and challenge them to earn rewards based on the damage you deal. Okay. The leaderboards are settled once a week, so a bit of competitive play there for players that's liking to climb those leaderboards, you know, those flex spots. Based on the damage you deal, and you receive extra rewards based on your ranking. So for players that's just feeling competitive, you want to try climb those leaderboards depending where you place, a nice little way to get some extra rewards for your account here. During the event there's 3 rounds, okay, so of boss challenges will be available, each lasting a week. So we have 2 challenge attempts in round 1, which I believe we're on right now because I've only got 2 attempts. Then we've got 4 rounds in round 2, and then 6 in round 3. So with the 6 bosses in total, I can see how that's kind of working out here, maybe saving our strongest teams for a little bit later on, once our accounts are fully developed. Okay. And each boss can only be challenged once per week, and each hero can only be deployed once per week. Okay, so to me it feels like a limitation on roster. We do have the resonance level in the game, where all of our levels are brought up to the same level to be able to play with some different builds and characters across the different elements. But it's just giving us a reason to kind of choose different ones. Maybe you want to go Dauntless for a certain strategy, or Necrosis for some summoning teams, or Frost for some control, right? So I'm just assuming that throughout the different challenges here, we're going to be switching around our builds and different heroes, especially with that limitation of the per week usage, right? As we take them down. So I'm definitely going to have to think about some different teams here that we can think about. Like maybe Garrus is going to come out as my tank. I've kind of been going in one direction at the moment, kind of with my summoners team as I progress through the storyline. But it's going to give me a chance to maybe play with some wild ones, some DPS options, right? Or some control, some poison damage to stack us some debuffs. I did see that with one of the Continental challenges. One of them kind of require you to apply a lot of debuffs. So let's just take a quick look at some of those bosses here. So just taking a look at Thelindor here as the first boss. So heroes summoned units with the highest attack deal 240% more damage. And hero allies receive 50% increased healing and shield effects. And of course, can only be used once per round. So basically boosting summoning unit damage, and heals and shields become stronger for your allies. And then when we go into Vaska, so each time a hero's ultimate skill hits an enemy, the damage of the next ultimate skill increases by 10%. Okay. And then when the boss is under heal reduction or healing reversal debuffs, their damage dealt decreases by 30%. So because he's vulnerable to this, stacking those ultimates for bonus damage obviously going to be great, and just applying that to the boss to decrease the damage that's dealt, right? So that's an interesting one. Might have to look through my characters here to see which ones can take it down. And then we got Twitch, so increases heroes' AoE skill damage by 50%, so a way to bring in some of these AoE abilities. But also for each stack of debuff resisted or dispelled, the hero gains 1 stack of 0.5% attack up, up to 200 stacks with no duration limit. So he's basically punishing debuffers. You want to bring in AoE nukers and not poisoners. Alright, so that'll be another one to kind of play with some different builds, I guess. And then we got Wyrmarrow, who's actually a hero that we get for free, right? Throughout our journeys. And she's one of my most used for dropping down that ultimate energy. But in terms of the boss, so increases hero's single target skill damage by 50%. So for each buff dispelled from the boss, heroes gain 25% attack bonus for 15 seconds. So you're basically rewarded for the single target damage, and maybe bringing in these wild or dauntless comps could be most optimal for that single target DPS. So that could be fun. We've also got Chrysos. He looks pretty badass. I like this dude. So heroes' basic attacks deal extra non-crit physical damage equal to 100% attack once. Okay. And then when breaking the boss's shield, the shield breaker gains 50% attack bonus for 10 seconds. So, you know, we're triggering that extra damage from those basic attacks, so maybe like Dauntless or Shield Breakers could be like a really cool strategy for this one. And then this final boss here in Tamar. So for each stack of debuffs on the boss, their damage taken increases by 5% up to 50 stacks. For each type of debuff on the boss, their damage dealt decreases by 10% up to 5 stacks. So basically, you're scaling with these debuff stacks, so stuff like poison that you can really ramp up can like be really effective for this one. So yeah, that'll be quite a lot of fun to kind of deep dive into those bosses, and we'll do these 2 attempts together because I've actually not fully played any of these yet. As I said, I've been away, so looking forward to that. And then we've got the Shadow Dungeon, so let's have a quick look here. So, during the event, clear dungeons of the designated difficulty and complete quests and earn Shadow Amethyst. So basically an extra way to get that resource to get some of these rewards towards our legendary hero. We've got skill tomes in there, summons, we've got chests, there's lots going on here. I actually seen a resource at the end. So which was this? Oh, the Medal of Glory. Okay. That we can get throughout Famiander and Arena and stuff. So back to this. So the dungeon quests refresh weekly, and you can select free quests as a shadow challenge. Upon completing the shadow challenges, you'll receive 100% more shadow amethysts. So let's just have a quick look at what kind of stuff we need to be doing here. So flame domain, remove burn from allies. So I'll be using a hero like Jillian, who's going to be able to cleanse that burn from everybody before the boss uses their ultimate skill. So that one seems pretty much in the bag for me personally. And of course, many other cleansers you could consider to take that off. And then we got consume stacks of the boss's fawn skin. Okay. Kill young... Oh, so with the Tempest Domain, there's like mini phases where the baby little dragons come down throughout the rounds. So you want to be killing those. So inflict attack penalty against Graver Venom. I'll be using someone like Wyrmarrow for that. We got Dispel buff or buff prohibition. Okay, that's Wyrmarrow as well. The free legendary that we get. Interrupt the Scavenger's Devour by dealing damage and rescuing allies. So the Graver Rot kind of eats up our heroes from our tank position. And then you want to basically free them from digestion a number of times throughout the fight. Eliminate 12-24, okay, dead Phoenix Nestlings. And inflict backfire onto Soul Devourer. So it seems pretty, like, simple to me. But of course, trying to get to the higher ones where you're going to get the greater value might be like a bit of strategic play, right? Moving up in difficulty. Like, for example, I'm going to activate one of my shallow challenges now. So we've got a 200% bonus on the removing burns of the domain. I've actually not pushed too far in this, so let's just go to stage 9 here. And I've actually got a little comp that I can show you guys for this one. So we've got Jillian, who's going to be working as my cleanser. We've got a tank hero that I just like to always bring everywhere because he's a freebie that I like to showcase. We've got a bit of a summoning strategy going on with... Is my low one is in here? So she was one of my exclusives that I got, so she's really cool. But we'll leave her out for now. Why not? And then we've got a few other heroes here. In my... I keep forgetting her name. What's your name? Ledalia. So she's free on day 2 that you get. And then I'm also using Synthrelia, who I'm really enjoying. But as you see, my gear is not top tier at the moment, so maybe a little bit more relatable to where a newer player that may be watching this video can kind of relate to after a few days of gameplay. But we are on Resonance level 89, and it's something that Dragonheir did do with the big relaunch where instead of just individually ranking up different heroes, and you're like, damn, I really want to invest in this dude, but, you know, I don't want to go into the goblins for hours and farm up all their potions. we're now going to have that resonance level where just by upgrading that and then doing mini tasks for every accumulative level that you reach, every character on your account is going to be brought up to the same level. So that just means you can switch around different builds, try different compositions, and that's what makes this Shadow Recast event very, very cool, because it brings out the versatility, different champions you may not have thought of, and trying to put these elements together like Necrosis to boost that damage, boost their stats, and have an easier chance of taking down some of these Continental challenges, right? But then we've also got Wyrmarrow in the team. So I don't want to take out them too fast. It looks like... Oh, what are we missing here? Oh, okay. So maybe we could take one of these off. Let's take it off him. I was actually playing around with my new Necrosis dude, and we're going to be doing some summons later on as well. Why not? I spent some of my Wyrmarrow. So what we're going to do is just go through to the boss and see, kind of wait for the burns to start occurring. Alright, so we're against the boss now. We can see that we're starting to get these burn ticks. And then we just need Wyrmarrow to drop down that ultimate energy, yes, before they explode it. And we need Jillian to cut in to kind of cleanse this debuff off. But he's going to take a turn. No! That's going to leave us vulnerable to our... Oh, okay, so she's exploded it. So it's just about timing our skills, I guess. Like with the presets, maybe hold off on Jillian's cleanse towards a little bit later on. Let's drop down that ultimate there. Yeah, Jillian's fully out of sync here. Okay. So we're going to have to be playing around with this. So right here, can we get it? Alright, so there's a lot of burn stacks. Jillian, come through. Right now. There we go. Boom, so we dispelled all those debuffs. We killed them a little bit too fast there. So maybe a little bit of a waste for our Shadow Challenge. So let's just go back into here. Into the Shadow Dungeon. Oh, so we could just keep competing in it. Okay. So if we just go back in there, we could just... Alright, nice. So technically, if we just go into stage 10 now, I'm not going to make you guys watch the entire thing. But let's just see if that increases the counter here. Oh, it is going to. Alright, so I kind of thought that we have to do it all within the battle. That's why I was thinking about the longer strategy. That's crazy, silly me. Alright, so let's just get through this one and then see that get a bit higher there, because we're going to have a lot more cleanses going on. Alright, so we're just going to get another big cleanse off here. There we go. We got a good few there. Still not timed it properly. I definitely need to set up some presets for this boss. And that should be adding to it. So I feel like that's really cool for accessibility for a player, right? As we've seen, we've just made it up to the 14 mark. Farm it a bit more. It's giving you an incentive to go into these dungeons, which we should be farming anyway for stuff like talents, etc. And also our journey level to start progressing further in that. And look at this massive dragon, by the way. Oh my. What a mount. That is crazy. Anyway, getting sidetracked there. So yeah, that was just a little bit of a deep dive into Shadow Dungeon. That surprised me at how cool that is. And we've still got our resources to activate. Some more challenges here. Nice. Ooh. Alright. And then we go into the Continental next. So let's just do Thelendor. So we're going to have 2 of these for this week. And then 4 next week. So I definitely have to start getting creative with my builds. So I'm just going to stick with my Necrosis team. Something that I know. If it doesn't work, then we have to switch it around. But with the summoning units, I'm just assuming that this is going to be optimal here. So we got Lewanis, Infrelia, we got Ledalia, Urion, and Jillian. Do I want Wyrmarrow in here? Do we need the heals, is what I'm thinking. Probably would be a good idea to have heals, but dropping down that ultimate energy... Nah, we're going to stay without it. Let's go. Come on. Wait. Alright, we're going to do times 4 speed. Let's speed this up because it's just going to be a damage race, right? And we want to be getting to that S tier. So it's C tier right now. Here comes the dragon. Boom. Do you know what? I want to let you guys see some of the animations of the game for anyone new here. Definitely one of my favorite in the genre in terms of... Well, this is a Necrosis team. Bit of an example. With like the summoners. And they're basically summoning these undeads and dragons and beings, right? It's really cool since the relaunch because these summoners teams were very niche beforehand. But since they kind of kicked it back in, pretty much all of them, all the different types of teams are just very effective in their own ways. I've just not dabbled into building up multiple teams yet because still progressing through the game, right? Just like many of you guys out there. Alright, so the undeads are taking a bit of a smack. We're still on C tier. Alright, so he's resisting a lot here. Okay. I'm just going to put it up to 4 speed and then see where we get to. And hopefully we get a pretty high tier. Alright, so I actually cheated and I switched over my team a little bit. I put Wyrmarrow in there. But we never actually died. We just didn't do enough damage on time, so I definitely need to work on my builds, get a bit more damage in there, or perhaps I'm using the wrong team, and maybe some of you cool players out there could let me know how to change this up to deal a bit more damage. Like I said, just the first impressions and trying out stuff for the first time, right, as a player. But almost got to the A tier. Do we save it? Nah, we'll redeploy. I'm actually gonna work on that team and try and make it a little bit better here. Let's flee this battle. So just taking a quick look at the leaderboards here, that is crazy. And with the ranking rewards, there's actually a lot up for grabs, like more Shadow Amethyst, we're getting Affinity Solvents, we're getting Echoes of Clepsydra, so definitely worth pushing, right? Like, even at 200 plus, we're still getting some pretty good rewards here, which is obviously just going to scale the higher that you place. And looking forward to seeing the type of things that we do here. Let's see. Oh, look at that lineup for some crazy damage. So he's using a wild team. Okay, so this is a very similar to one to what I was using, kind of. I just wasn't putting in the work because I don't have gear like this, unfortunately. So I just have to work on my gear, get a bit stronger. But definitely worth looking at stuff like this for a progressing player like myself to kind of learn about some different strategies, learn about some teams that perhaps you didn't think about for some of these bosses, right? Like this one here seems like, obviously, I haven't got the same gear, but I've got a very similar idea to the team in a sense. Oh, interesting. So he went with the Twitch boss first, going for that poison damage. Maybe that's something I could consider. Okay. Oh, he's cool. I've actually got Therival. Nice. So yeah, a few things there. And just a little one to wrap up before we actually go into the summons that I've got from hellhades.com from one of the team that wrote this down. So basically, as an overall, you get a free legendary just by playing. You don't have to hoard or spend loads of rare resources, such as like skill tomes, etc. Leaderboards provide a real incentive for high performance. And the entire structure of the event, like we started at the beginning, is all around team building, account depth, and efficiency, right? And then what you should be doing now, since the event started, is saving that stamina for the Shadow Dungeon double drops, as we've seen with the fire one that we was doing. Planning your boss teams with diversity and synergy. If you're struggling, join a Discord community so you can ask for a bit of a handout. And don't waste your strongest team on the hardest boss early. So you want to be saving that for a little bit later on so you can actually have the best team possible because you've got some time to farm some better gear and all of that good stuff. And ranking into their talents, etc. And then target Utior being the legendary hero, which we're going to quickly check out now. And then also after that, shoot for the 800 plus Shadow Amethyst to get some cosmetics, for example. So, oh, look at this. The Umbra of Necrosis. That's the one we're speaking about here. Nice. So let's have a quick look at the hero, because I'm definitely pushing for it myself. So we've got a passive where whenever a hero unit dies, gains 10% ultimate energy. Okay. I'm just thinking, that's probably includes summons, I would assume. Like, it's just a unit. So if you're in like a summoners team, you know, that could be pretty cool. And then deals necrotic damage to enemies within range, attack penalty, and heal prohibition. All right. And then we've also got an ultimate of defense up and resurrection at death to all allies for 10 seconds. So pretty cool kit. Looking forward to get my hands on him. And he's looking badass. I'll say that. So let's just head into a few summons to wrap this up. Do you know what? There's actually the selected summons, right? And I went for Lelwanis in my first week for like the 250 or 300 summons. So I definitely don't have the resources for that. So I'm not going to be pushing for it as there's only 14 hours left. You know, someone like Flora is very popular, I think, for like the Temporal Vortex, I believe. Lothair's pretty cool. I like him. I went for Lelwanis. I feel like she just pairs with my Summoners team. And yeah, probably Flora is probably the one. To be fair, you can't really go wrong with any of them. It just depends on your playstyle and what kind of affinity matchup suits what you're looking for on your accounts, right? And for me, that's what it's all about. Having fun in a game, play with some niche champions. Doesn't always have to follow the crowd, right? To have some fun. But we're just going to crack on here. Hopefully we hit a legendary. I think that's the golden animation. Did we get it? If we did, hopefully we'll get a non-dupe. Oh, we got it, guys, on the first one. Oh, this one, I think this is a new one for me. Sutha, she looks nice. She is new. So launches a double hit slash at the enemy to deal lightning damage twice. This skill is counted as a basic attack. Alright, so we got a bit of lightning going on. Alright, let's skip through here. We're not going to take up too much of your time. Alright, that's not a legendary. We got some epics. We're getting loads of this resource here. Oh, I tried the stop pull there, you know? Oh, he's a new one. Nice. Oh, no legendary again. And the last one? Ah, we didn't get it, guys. You just have to look out for that little animation where it, like, bursts, I guess. But how close are we to my pity now? If no legendary summon by the 70 summon guaranteed a legendary, we got it on the first one, so I probably got a few more summons to go. Guys, on that note, that is going to be all for today's video. Get involved in the Imperial Shadow recast for existing and new players. And once again, shout out to Dragonheir for sponsoring the video and continuing to support the channel here. I really appreciate it. And you can, of course, find all the links in the description below to download the game, get involved. There's lots to get involved with, like Imperial Shadow. We've got the D&D event for Drizzt Do'Urden, which you can check out my previous video, where we're challenging Ertu, going on the demon hunts and going through the token shop to acquire the Onyx figurine, which is the exclusive artifact for Drizzt, as well as being able to get the hero for free by simply doing the demon hunt and challenging Ertu, which is nice. And yeah, just loads of events going on. We've got journey challenges and yeah, just get involved, guys. See you in a video soon and peace.